Hi, and welcome to the Spring Back to School Night presentation. I'm Amy Villanova, and I'll be talking to you about Envision instrumental music. And I'm talking to you on behalf of all of our music teachers, representing our different performance classes: symphonic band, wind ensemble, jazz band, orchestra, and chamber orchestra. If you'd like to reach any of your teachers, here are our email addresses. If you notice, some of us go by different names in person than on email, so it's really important that you spell it totally right, or we'll never ever know that you tried to email us. Also, here on the bottom of this slide is our music website. These are our performance ensembles. Like I mentioned before, we also have rock band and the Instrumental Music Conservatory. There is a downloadable music handbook. It's in Google Classroom, so all of your students have access to it, and that has all of our information that's going to be contained in this presentation and quite a bit more, actually. So this is sort of what our room looks like, and it's so great to be back in person. It is so wonderful to have everybody here. This is our orchestra from last term, and this is kind of an example of how we work. We spread everybody out as far as we can. Everybody's really carefully masked and all the things. Last term, this was band rehearsal, and we had to be outside. Our rules and regulations have changed, and we're being as safe as we possibly can. We've got air filters going. We've got very specialized music PPE. So all of our wind players have specific music masks and bell covers, and we're following all of our guidelines really, really strictly. And your support is definitely appreciated, because I don't know about you guys, but I like being in person a lot better than being online. So we're doing what we can to stay as safe as possible. We've been doing really well so far, and it's really great to see everybody inside, because actually it's pretty cold outside right now. So how do students get an A in their performance class? Well, 50% of their grade is just showing up and doing the work. Are they there? Are they mentally there? Is their instrument there in good working condition? Are they able to participate? That's halfway there. And then we have homework, which is about 30% of the grade, and that might be some online video performances. It's going through Google Classroom and filling out forms and surveys and assignments. We generally have a weekly assignment or two to keep students going at home. And then we also have our playing tests, which are coming up. Orchestra has theirs today, actually. And so in our playing tests, we divvy up seating so that we know, just from an organizational standpoint, where to place every student, and they also get a grade. Now, their seat won't change until the next concert cycle, but learning is sort of, and mastery is what we're going for. So if a student is not satisfied with their playing test score, they're invited to play that material again for us as many times as they would like, after they've had a chance to practice it. If they need help with it, we're happy to help them with it. So they can always retest for a higher score until we need to turn in our grades. So, some students get things right away, and some students really need to take a little bit longer with the material until it's really comfortable and they can demonstrate mastery, which is ultimately our goal. So a student can never lower their grade by coming in and playing a playing test again. If it's not strong enough to raise the grade, that's a great opportunity for us to help the student out. So we highly encourage students to do that if they are not satisfied with their playing test scores. And then something that's new and different this term that we're doing in all of our ensemble classes is the SDSU, San Diego State's Mindfulness study in partnership with Dr. Koner. She is the music ed chair at San Diego State. We are participating, and also Ramona High School. The students there are participating. And so the idea is, we just started our first techniques this week, but just to do a couple little grounding exercises before we start our home practice. And we just sort of track our thoughts about that. There's some specific questions every week that the students answer, but it's just a couple minutes ahead of their regular practice time. This week we're working on, for the next couple of weeks, we're working on guided breathing, and then we'll be doing a little bit of physical stretching, and then some relaxation techniques, just things to shut out the rest of like our busy minds, so that we can really focus on the tasks that we mean to focus on. And so we'll be tracking that information. All the students are doing this, whether they're participating in the study or not. But thank you so much for signing those consent Google Forms last week. We have a ton of students who are participating in the study. And what that means is when the students turn in their assignments, their data then goes on and becomes part of the study. It becomes anonymous. We just use student ID numbers. So names are not associated with any of this. It just becomes data in the system. But it's really fantastic for us as teachers to have actual, high school subjects, because the idea of this is so, that we can maximize a student's time and be as efficient as possible, and help them to, they're very, very busy. They got a lot of things going on. And so to be able to really get the most out of that practice time, if this is, and this is an investigation to see if these type of techniques help in that quest. So thanks so much for signing off on that. It's a really neat opportunity. This will go on and go into a peer-reviewed journal. This will go into national and international conferences. So it's kind of a big deal. And it's really nice that we were invited to do it. And it's really fantastic that our students are involved with it. And I'll keep you posted on all of the goings on. And so performances. We are so fortunate to be back inside for some of our performances, although some of our spring performances are going to be outside or in other places on campus just because of the nature of the performances. So our calendar, also in Google Classroom, there's a link here on this presentation. So when you get your email that has the link to this video presentation, it also has the link to these slides, so you can go through and click wherever you'd like. But there is a downloadable calendar in Google Classroom for the students. They have access to it all the time. And that is the most updated calendar. That's really important as we're finding out in these kind of COVID times. We've already made some switches to our traditional spring plans. So let me run down the calendar for you. It's really that we've got some good stuff going on. January is when our students this year are signing up for the All Southern Honor Orchestra and Honor Bands. That is open until February 4th. I already have a bunch of students signed up. All they have to do is come to me and share their email with me, and I can get them set up within the system. Down towards the end of this presentation, there's links that talk about what that program is. It'll happen actually this year during our spring break, the last weekend of our spring break up in Santa Monica, which is pretty cool. So that is the All Southern Honor Band Orchestra. That's one of the things that students are working on in January. Like I said, in February, they are due on the 4th. And then also we'll be starting to work on our pre-festival performances. We're going to be, instead of going places this year, because our regular festival that we go to has closed ranks a little bit and it's district only, because we don't want students mixing and big groups mixing and all of the COVID precautions. So we're bringing people into us instead of trying to go all sorts of places this year. So we'll be bringing in different clinicians and different guest adjudicators for performances throughout February and March. And like I said, it's really important that we look at this calendar every once in a while, because dates do sort of wiggle around and change. March 1st is our first official concert, 7 p.m. in the theater, and it will be jazz and choir. March 2nd, and if you already put stuff on your calendar, double check, because this is a switch. March 2nd will be our festival concert, and that will be bands, so wind ensemble and symphonic band. And March 3rd will be the orchestras, orchestra and chamber orchestra. Those two were flip-flopped earlier, but in collaboration with other schools in our district, it makes more sense to do it this way. So Wednesday bands, Thursday orchestras. There is the possibility wind ensemble might be going on a field trip performance somewhere in San Diego County. We're still working out the details for that, but that's coming up in March. And like I said, we'll be bringing in some adjudicators into all the classes, guest performers and guest clinicians to work with our students in kind of that like high pressure festival type feel, but just maybe more comfortably in our classroom. So that's kind of neat. In April, we have our conservatory applications due. And then on the 13th, we have our Envision Supper Club, and that is jazz band. And that actually is going to be outside because we use the amphitheater and we serve you dinner if you'd like to order dinner through us. And it's a whole fun evening of jazz under the stars, which earlier this year we were all under the stars, but now it's actually like on purpose, and we really like to be out there. We can eat our food, and it's a great way to have a nice evening of jazz. The following week, the 21st, we have a chamber music night, and that will be up in the Learning Commons, most likely, which is a really neat recital-y space. And so we're going to have chamber orchestra. There's a select small wind ensemble and choir piece that we are going to start working on. Those students will let you know if they are involved in that particular piece or not. And then for something totally new this year, on May 14th, that's our only Saturday obligation this whole term, but it's a big one. All of our different performing ensembles, jazz band, wind ensemble, symphonic band, orchestra, chamber orchestra, choir, we're all performing on Saturday, May 14th at different times. So we'll let you know, and we'll stagger the times so that you can plan accordingly and figure out when it is that you would like to arrive and that. But all day long, we're going to have just a big concert blowout extravaganza. And so it should be a lot of fun. And that's May 14th. So again, if you go to the clickable version of this, you can find the information for All Southern, the audition excerpts and things like that. That's here on this calendar as well. It's in Google Classroom, students, and it's available for you in the presentation. What do we wear for concerts? We're so happy to be back in public in real concert fashion. So we're using real concert dress. And so for wind ensemble, choir, symphonic band, and the orchestras, the look is either a formal tuxedo or black suit, or a long, like to the ground, black dress, or similar formal, long, all black. We've got some pictures of different performing ensembles up on the wall inside our classroom. So if students have something and they want to see if it fits the look, then they can kind of compare, or they can come ask us. We're not putting together another dress order for the spring. So we ask that students find the thing that works best for them. But the idea is that we're covered and that we look really formal and uniform. So that is what those ensembles are wearing. Jazz band, we call it business professional. So suits or dress shirt and pants, dressy dresses, any color palette is fine. It doesn't have to be black, but sometimes we feel like those students, if they walk in both worlds, it's economical to have something that works for everything. And so here's an example of everybody in their concert clothes and what it looks like. So you can see and compare and contrast and think if that is what is right for you. That is actually, I believe, a bit of Carmina Burana from a few years ago. So as you can see, we do things often with choir and with orchestra and with the winds and percussion. And it's so great to be back and able to do these collaborations again. Here's our jazz folks on tour in Reno. As you can see, their concert attire is a little bit more casual because, jazz band. So how to get in touch with us. You can reach me at my email, and I am the teacher for wind ensemble, orchestra, chamber orchestra, and jazz band. We also have Mr. Yepes with us, and he's involved in all of the different classes. He's a student teacher, so if you need to reach him directly, there is his email address, or you can email me, and I can get him the message. Nate Jarrell, if your kids have Nate, then you want to make sure you spell out Nathan.Jarrell if you're emailing him, and he's Recording Arts, Advanced Recording Arts Rock Band. And then Mr. Johnson, same thing. If you're going to talk to Mr. Johnson, make sure you email julian.johnson@sduhsd.net. So Mr. Johnson's here with us in the morning, and then he's over at Pacific Trails the rest of the afternoon. We also do the social media thing. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram for announcements and things like that. You're invested. How can you help? The best way to help is to make sure that your students have a great place and a great schedule for practicing. So what we learned over COVID times is that a lot of students are practicing in their closets, tucked away, because some adult at home is also on a meeting, and there's also fourth grade going on, and it was really hard for students to play with a big characteristic full sound. So wherever they're practicing at home, it's really important that they're able to really use a big sound, because we don't want to practice in bad habits. We want to reinforce great habits. So finding a space, which also means finding a time in your household where that works, against other people's naps or work schedules or your neighbors or all of those different things, because it's tough when music isn't due the next day to push it off and do all of the other things first. And then all of a sudden it gets to be really late and, oh, I haven't practiced, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and your neighbors definitely don't want to hear that. So helping your child find a great time and space to practice is a really big help. And also to make sure that their instrument works. I mean, we battle a lot of things that are outside of our control. If an instrument is a little bit in disrepair, it can be quite frustrating. So just, making sure that just like you take your car into the shop and have it checked out every once in a while, the same thing goes for instruments. They get out of alignment. They get, a need for a little checkup every once in a while. So to make sure the instrument's in great working condition is really helpful. And then oftentimes, this was more important when we were online, but having that reliable computer internet connection. We will do some things with recording and stuff at home, but not quite as much. It's a much more analog class this year, which I think we're all happy about. And then the other part of that is to really consider supporting the CCA Foundation. Our school does what they can to support us, but really all of the wonderful things that we're able to do are because of foundation donations. Foundation pays for our guest artists, it pays for our sheet music, it pays for instrument repairs, of which we have many, and new instruments when we're able to buy them, basically everything that we need. So there's a link in our presentation, and this is a slide actually next from the CCA Foundation that shares a little bit about the information that we talk about. So when you donate to Envision, you're covering over 40-day classes plus the conservatories. You can specify that it goes to the project that you'd like or the department that you would like when you make a donation. And so that's really fantastic. And for us, it really does. It provides us great guest artists. It provides us the opportunity to bring in clinicians. All of the music that we play, it really covers our bread and butter, the things that we do. And so there is an ask based on class population, class size, and class expenses. So if you can find your class and see, and that's a per term. So if you did that in the fall, thank you so much. If you could consider, doing that again here in the spring, that really helps us meet our budget and our bottom line and not have to cut back on the things that we want to do. We have a lot of really serious deferred maintenance at this point. And so there's quite the list of needs. And so thank you very much, those of you who've been able to support the foundation. And if you're looking for a way to do so, you just go to their website and they make it really easy for you. So you can designate to any of the projects that you'd like on campus. And we'd really be very appreciative if you could consider donating to us. So we're all still figuring this out. This was the slide I left from last term and really from our online learning. And it really still is a little bit, like I said earlier, we're being very careful about our masking and our distancing. And we're so thankful that we get to have our concerts inside and our rehearsals inside. And that's a really big deal. And we know our students are doing a lot of different things with the masks and with all of the it's a little different than it used to be. And we just thank the students for rolling with all of the different challenges. They do such a great job with it. And it's just really nice to be back together. Like it really, really is. So just thank you so much for your support, your enthusiasm, your sense of humor. And I really mean this about the CCA, pioneering way. I really feel like this is a special place and our students have a fantastic attitude about it. And we're digging into our new music and having so much fun. So if you need to reach us, please do. I look forward to hearing from you, and I definitely look forward to seeing you at our first concerts. Thank you so much.